Hello, friends, Lilligans, curious onlookers, anti-novelists. Welcome back to this episode of Zettelkasten for Fiction, where imagination finds order, which is the book that I am writing for you in order to help you get your writing done. So I'm going to jump right into it. Today's episode is titled, Kill Your Darlings. Yeah, it's true. Sometimes you have to take the thing that you love the most and you have to beat the pulp out of it so that you can get down to the really good, really helpful, and necessary material. So let's look at what I did today. Today, in my handy dandy tracker for this book that is growing, the last word count that I posted for you was, I want to say 25,105 words. So that is essentially the draft one part of I'd guess that's about a third of the book. This is going to be long, but I'm carving out anything that I think is not helpful for you. So the word count is still evolving as we go. But let's look. So if we look at the chapters, part 1, setting up your Zettelkasten, that's rocking out about 6,000 words or so. It's basically the first 8 chapters. Part 2 is the next 3 chapters, but there are a lot of subchapters here because I go very specifically into character types. The protagonist, the antagonist, antagonistic forces, contagonist, and villain. So that section, you'll note those are all big fat zeros because I have my note cards over in my Zettelkasten for these sections, but I've not fleshed them out into chapters yet. So then we come over here to part 4, which is the foundations of the novel. That section is coming along really nicely. And then I go into a rather large section of exploring structure, and I talk about different kinds of plot structure. Now, what I've done here today is I have very heavily edited this section. There's a lot of different spin-offs and variations of the hero's journey. And of course, now the heroine's journey has come along as a plot structure. And then you have lots of other ones that are 3-part, 4-part, 7-part, all the way up to 27-part different structures for writing a novel. So my first question to you, my dear viewers, is, are you interested in seeing quick breakdowns of each of these? I find this very interesting and helpful because if I'm thinking about a particular story, I want to go here to my little cheat guide and say, oh, okay, that follows Wells's structure. Or, hey, that follows Snyder's structure. Or what's the chiastic structure? I find that interesting and helpful. So drop me a comment if knowing at a quick glance about all of the different kinds of plot structure and how they stack up against each other is helpful. Let me know because I'll leave it in. If it's not, or if that's not where your jam is, or you don't think that that's super handy, then what I may do is take that section and pack that over into my physical monthly newsletter, which will come out after this book. So I'm leaning towards keeping it in, but let me know what you think. In part 4 is the novel doctor. So after I go through all of the different structures for writing a novel, I talk specifically about ways that you can go about repairing yours. Like yesterday, I talked about scene repair and how to work with transitions and whatnot. There's a whole lot more in there. Then we've got world structure. This is the other section that I would like to know what you think. Are you interested in different kinds of story from around the world? Is that something you want to go deep into, or do you just want me to gloss over it? Because here's the thing. Most of what we consider story structure from a Western conflict-driven narrative follows either the hero's journey, derivatives thereof, or a few offshoots. So I'll go into those at a high level, but I'm asking you about getting into the weeds because I'm all about getting into the weeds if you want to come with me. And then on world structure, not only am I covering the traditional Western structures, but I'm also looking at stories from around the world. I've picked about 10 to 12, maybe 13 countries, looking at different cultures, different styles of story, different reasons for stories, and then the ways that other cultures write about them. Because traditional Eastern-driven narratives aren't conflict-driven. So I find that fascinating. Again, drop me a comment if you think that that is interesting to you. Here's the thing. I'm writing this book for you, and I want to get it into your hands as quickly as possible, but I also want to be thorough and cover the things that you either want to know about or just want to benefit from my research, so you can just grab the notes, take a look at it, and then figure out the structure for your own story. So that's what those two parts primarily serve, is a high-level look at all of the major Western structures, and then a high-level look at stories from around the world, and giving you an a la carte menu so that you can choose what story structure and what plot type best serves your story. Because, I've said this before, my goal is I want to hold your book in my hands. So, Part 6 introduces you to the Kathleen Spracklin character traits tool, which she covers in her book, Writing with Emotion, which I consider an absolute essential, so we'll go into that. Part 7 covers research-driven writing and how you can use specifically the Zettelkasten tool as a vehicle to get your writing done. And then Part 8 covers editing, different styles of editing, different kinds of edits. You've got continuity and developmental edits. You've got grammar edits. There's a lot of different kinds of editing that go into a finished book. So I'm going to break those down for you just so that you know. And then finally, at this writing, I have 2 appendices. The first one is on how to create your own book Bible using your Zettelkasten as the primary tool. And the second one is on world building. It talks about hard versus soft worlds, the fundamentals of world building, and how to set up your Zettelkasten so it becomes a workhorse to get that world building piece done and saved for you so that you always have it at hand. So where did that leave me word count wise? And don't think that this didn't hurt a little bit, because I tell you what, cutting words, kill your darlings. You got to kill your darlings. I started at this writing at 25,105 words. After doing a heavy pass-through edit, taking out anything that I didn't feel was necessary, tightening some things up, that puts us today, August 20th, 2024, back down to 20,791 words. Now, in the plot structures, I've got about 7,500 words that are unedited yet. If it's not edited and pretty well set for how I like it, it doesn't get counted in the word count, because those aren't real words, those are draft words. So right now we are back down to 20,791 good words that I think will be beneficial and helpful for you. So that concludes today's look at where we are in the book itself. Again, drop me a comment. Let me know what you think about going deep diving into plot structure and deep diving into world stories. And then tomorrow, I'm going to look at a few of the specific tools that I've lined out for you that cover specific systems that you can use. Again, these are things that I think are super helpful, especially for new writers. Most of you don't know this, but I taught writing at the college level for almost 20 years. And so I have gleaned a lot of tools and tricks, particularly for new writers, that help get you into the process seamlessly so you can do the job of getting the words on the page, because they don't count if they're in your head. They have to be on the page so you've got something to work with. So that's where we are. It's coming along nicely. The deep cut edit hurt, but it's good pain, because now I'm back square with with a book that I think will serve getting your novel written. And it's definitely serving getting my written, because my little novel is just sitting there on the back burner waiting. Sometimes I get so crazy inspired in characters and story, I have to sneak over there and steal time from this project to do some writing, but it always feels good because I'm getting it done. So that is my wish for you, to get those words on the page. I'll leave you there for today. Tomorrow we'll dive into some more tools and talk about some more specifics, but I will thank you as always for your time, and thank you for my new subscribers. Welcome aboard. This is going to be a crazy ride, but we're going to do it together. And with that, I will leave you, and I will see you tomorrow.